Hello friends, Ashley here. So in today's live coding project, I'm going to show you my way to handle the PDF export from Google Sheets. And I'm also going to show you how I started a new project with a local environment. All right, so let's get started. So first, you need to have a code editor on your machine. So right now I'm using Vim. And I have a terminal here, and you can use Visual Studio Code or any code editor you have, but you need to make sure you have the Node installed, and you also need to make sure you have this tool called Clasp is also installed. All right, so once you have these two tools installed on your computer, and the first thing you need to do, if you never use this tool, maybe first you need to log in with your account. Okay, so if I'm trying to do a Clasp login, it's going to open your browser, and you need to complete this authorization process. And before I do that, another note for you: if you go to script.google.com, all right, and there is a setting here. You need to turn this on. If the first time for you to use this tool, make sure this Google App Script API is turned on. By default, it's turned off, okay? And you can find this instruction here. So basically, follow the instruction here to get this set up. And this is a tool provided by Google. And if I click on Allow, and it should log me in. All right, so this is the terminal. What I'm doing here. So right now I'm at me, okay? To check to verify this, you can use Clasp login -- status, and you should check your login status, right? And we should be able to go. Okay, so let's go back to the browser, and let me. So here I have a project folder. And I have some file already created because I'm trying to export them as PDF, and this is going to be our main project. So right now it's just a template with, I think it's for the travel planner. So it's just a template, okay? And there is no script here in this project. And what we can do here from our local environment, and let me just copy this ID first for this project. And what we can do here in our local machine. So first, we need to create a project folder. And for this video, I'm going to go to live coding. And we can go to, so this is just my project folder. So for the videos, so you can place it anywhere you like. And as you can see, this is a list of folders. So right now, I think it's for live coding 19. Okay, so 019, and I'm going to change the directory to this folder I just created, right? And right now I'm in this folder. And here, what we can do, we can use this tool to create a new project. So if you do a --help, it's going to show you the instructions. So some options that you can use. So we can use Clasp create, and the first thing we need to pass this parent ID here, which is the parent ID should be the ID I just copied from, right? So basically, I want to create. So we can do it here manually, of course. I just want to show you my way or another alternative way to do it. So we have this file, this ID here, just copy this as a parent ID. So we can create a file, a script file, and link to this file. All right, so this is just purpose here. And then what we can do, we can give it a title for this script. So for this one, if you have multiple words for this title, you need to put them in quote. But for this one, I just live coding. And just to show you how it works, I'm going to name it like this. And 9, and say YouTube. So put them in quote. if you have multiple work, and we have parent ID. So for the we can add a root drive if we want, but for this one, the root drive should be the current directory. So just the current one. And if I hit enter, it's going to create a new script. So the new script, this is going to be the name. So this is the name for the title for the new script. And what are you doing here? Okay. So if I'm trying to open the script file, I'm using command clasp open to open the file. It's going to open the project file. Okay. So this is the project file, and if you go to the overview, and as you can see, it's linked to this file. And also, if I open the script from here, I also can have it. I think it should be linked here to the project. All right. So right now the project has been initialized, and we can see what we have here in this folder. And you will see here we have a .clasp.json file, and we have an appscript.json file, which exactly the file you can see here. But right now it's not here, right? If I have this show in the settings, so we have this file. So this is the data we can see here in our local dev tool. So if I go to my terminal, and I'm using Vim, okay? I'm using Vim, so if I open the project here, so you will see, so this is basically the same thing. And this is the configuration file. If I format it, and you will see that this is to the script ID, and this is root driver, root directory, and this is the parent ID, basically the ID of the spreadsheet. So this is all the configuration. And we can start working on our local machine and try to write code here. So first, I'm going to add a new file here called utilities. And I give it an index, utils.js. So I'm going to create this file. And here in the navigation, or in this tree here, you will see I have this new file created. And I can start write my code here, because this is a JavaScript file, so I can write JavaScript here. And so let's just make a test function to show you how this is going to work. And we're going to console and test and save it. And I can format it. And to push the change. So right now I did some change, right, in my local machine, but right now it's not in the cloud, I think. So right now we don't have this test file. So if I reload this page, it's not going to be here, right? Unless I do something like, so if I do a clasp push, so this is basically going to push the change or the latest code from my local machine to the cloud. All right, I hit enter. It's going to push the files. Right, so we pushed two files, the utility and the appscript.json file. So if I go to the cloud or go to the script file on my Google Drive and reload, so we have this function here, and then we can run it here to see the test result. Okay, so that's basically the process how I develop the script locally and push them to the cloud and can test it here. And I think we have another it's called, I think it's called, I'm not sure if we have some option here. I think we have a watch command, I think. Let me check. So basically this is, I normally don't use this command, but you can find here in this in the search for watch. Okay. So in this push command, we have a watch option here to watch the local file change and push every few seconds. So if it's not a very, I don't think it's very good to use, because it's going to keep pushing the changes to the local. So maybe you can control this. So anytime if you want to do a push, and you just run the command class push. Should be very easy to do, I think. So basically, this is about the process I'm doing here every day if I'm trying to handle the AppScript project here locally, okay? So let me go to my terminal here, and I'm trying to create a new file. So this is going to be our utility file, and I'm going to create a new file, and I give it index1, and give it a main.js. So I'm going to put my utility function here in the file 0, and I'm going to put my AppScript, the main function here in this main.js file, okay? So basically to export a Google Sheets as PDF, so basically what we are doing here, we are basically trying to utilize this download feature here in Google Apps, in Google Sheets right here, so we can export them as PDF. So this is basically the option, right? And so right now we cannot see anything here, but what we're doing here, if I copy this link, and I'm going to change this to export, and I give it a format of PDF. So if I hit enter, it's going to download a PDF from this file for this file, right? So this is basically the core core method. How do we handle this, right? So we have this link, and we're going to send a link to this request to help. So give me a download, like basically a download for this spreadsheet, and convert it to PDF, things like that. So what we can do here, so the first function I'd like to do here in this utility, I'm going to create a function called create a export request, or PDF export, because we are trying to handle PDF. So this is the first function I'm trying to do, and in this request I need to pass some parameters, because first we need to know which spreadsheet. So I'm going to pass a spreadsheet ID here, right? So this function we can export any spreadsheet we have access to, right? And the second, I'm going to put an options object here, because we can configure these options here, but maybe we can export the size, maybe we can export the PDF at A4 size or letter size, things like that, or the margin. So we have a lot of options here we can do. So, and in this request, request, what should we return? We should return an object like this. We should have a URL here. So some URL. So this should be our endpoint for our HTTP request. Okay. Just like what we did here. So this URL should be like something. Let me paste the value here. So here we should have this spreadsheet ID, and then export. Then have our query string here, or query parameters here. Okay, something similar like this. And the method is get, always get for this example here. And we should have some headers here for the authorization, okay? Or we cannot access the data. So we need a token for us to download this PDF. So the token will be here, and I'm going to put this token also in this function parameter here. Okay. And I'm going to mute the HTTP exceptions. Turn this to true. So this is going to be the request we should return. But right now this URL is not correct. Okay, so we need to handle this. First, the ID should be from from here, and then we have the query parameters. So we need to build our query parameters from all of these options here. So let's say we have a parameter here, or we have variable here called parameters, or we can query parameters. So so what we can do here, we can set up some default parameters here, like the size. Let's say the size is maybe is letter or A4, something like that. Give it A4, and what else we can do here normally for the size. So the format should be always like PDF. And I'm going to add options here, just in case the users assign their own, like if the user assigned an option here with a size like letter. So if we put the options here after the size, so this option is going to override this size here for A4. So this is just the case. So let me delete this here. Give it empty object. So the query string we're going to be something like maybe I'm going to add more default parameters like the fit the width, turn this to true, and grid lines false. And what else I can do here? We can give it some margins in, okay? So top margin can give it a 1 or 2.5, something like that. So this is like default setup. I'm going to top, right, and left. This should be bottom. So this, all of these values here before these options, they are basically the default configuration, and in this way we don't need to set them up because this is already defined in this query parameters, and we can provide our own value in this options object to override all of them. All right. So this is basically what I'm doing here, and we can. What anything else? Okay, I think that's all. We have more. I think we have more parameters we can do here. So let's just keep it simple here. And we need to convert this object into a query string, okay? So the query string we're going to be like something like size equal to A4, and fit width equal to true. So and so on, something like that. And we put this query string in here. And I need to replace this. Okay, so this is going to be our final URL. Or we can do it here. Let me just do const URL is equal to this value here. And so as you can see here, so we should probably need to create a function to do this job for us, because this is dynamic. So all of these options, they're just, we can have more options or less options. So it's better for us to do a function here. So I'd like to create a function, create a query string or something like that. So we can pass the query parameter here. So I'd like to create a new function here, create query string, and I'm going to take some parameters and So first thing first, so if there is no parameter, I'm going to return an empty string, okay, just in case. And if we do have parameters, what can we return? So this parameters should be an object, right? So we can loop through all of this object, right? So I'm going to object.entries parameters. I'm going to map. So it's going to create a new list from these entries. And in this map function, we have a callback function here. We can get the key and the parameter from, or the parameter, let's say this key will be parameter, and maybe parameter key and parameter value. And in this way, so this parameter key and the value should be seen like the size A4. So the size we're going to be the parameter key, and A4 we're going to be the parameter value. So this is just for example, okay? And what we can do here, we just return something like we can return something like parameter key equal parameter value. So this is the thing we're trying to achieve here, right? But we can handle something special just in case we have something like I don't know, or let's say we have a parameter called types, and we can say, or maybe topics, and this could be a list of topics, maybe ABC, things like this, right? So we could have this kind of situation. So even we are not using it in this export function for PDF, but maybe in the future you're going to handle something like this. So if in this case, what we can do something like we can check here if this value is an array. So if the value of this parameter value is array, so we'll do something different, right? So if this is array, what we can do here, what we need to do, we basically need to map this key topic A, so topics equal to A, topics equal to B, topics equal to C. So in this case, what should we return? We should return something like parameter value, and we're going to map this. So for each value here, we're going to return it like key and value. So this value right now is for the parameter, it's in the parameter like the ABC, right? And then we're going to join them as a string, right? And we're going to join them with this and sign. Okay, I'm not sure if this is clear. And after all of this, we need to return this, okay? And right now, this is returned as an array, but we need to join them with and sign. I know this is kind of confusing, I'm not sure. But let me show you in the test result so you can understand what I'm trying to say here. Let me just create a test function here to do. So let's say we have some parameter here like name and the email. So just put some information here so we can create a query string. And the topics is array, add script, and I don't know, YouTube or channel. So we can create a string here. So const query string is equal to create query string, and we pass these parameters, right? So this should be parameters. and we can try to log this out. I hope everything is typed correctly. So let me just push all of these changes to the cloud, and we can run tests there. I think I did something. Okay, it's correct. And here, let me reload. So we have all of this stuff here, and I'm trying to run this test function here. Okay, something definitely is wrong. Create query string. Let me try to debug. If there is no perimeter, let's just add a log here to see what's going on. Perm. We do have this object, right? We have nothing here. So this is a map. Okay. So the problem here is this should always return the empty. So this should be not, right? This is a logic error. Not this one. Should run this test. Key is not defined. Let me just fix it very quickly locally. So what I can do here, this should be not, and this key, there is no key, right? This should be parameter key, and this parameter key should be okay. Yeah, I think this time it should work. Let me try to do another push. Okay, so let's get back to the test file. Let's just reload so I can test here. All right, so this time you will see here we have this name equal to name, email to email. This is not correct. Name should equal to my name here. So still some bug here. So let me check. So this is the issue, right? Parameter key. So this should be parameter value. Let me do another push. I'm sorry. So this is live coding. So we could have some bugs, and so this is basically the whole process. We are working every day like this. So let's get back. I think I can try to run it. And this time you will see here. So name, email, and the channel. Okay, we still have some problem here about the what's going on here. This is the value, right? App script. So I think I know what's going on here. This should be the key, not the value. So I'm sorry. A lot of mistakes here, but that's okay. Just waste you a little bit of time. Let me try, and this time name, email, and topics 1, topics 2, topics 3. So this is the final result we are trying to achieve. But for a URL, we should probably handle this space here. All right, so what we can do here, we can maybe save this to a query string, and I'm going to return something a little bit different, so we can have a URI encode. And I'm going to pass this query string here. And this time, let's see what we can get. Go back, run test. So as you can see, this time we don't have this space anymore. So I think this is normally something you will see here in the URL. All right. And that's all about this function. And you see, we have this basic setup. And what we can do here, I need to remove this. And I'm going to test it with a real URL. We are trying to use it to download a PDF file. Okay, so let's go back to our test file. So I'm going to give it a GID or format. Let's say this time I'd like to do the letter, and I can give it a GID. So this is if we are trying to export only one tab from a spreadsheet, what we can do. So I'm going to grab, because right now we only have one tab here, right? So it's okay. So I can copy this ID and put it here. What else we can do here is, I think that's okay. And I'm going to create a request. So this should be a request for exporting the PDF. I'm going to create PDF export request, and this is going to take some parameters. The first one and another one is ID, spreadsheet ID. And I'm going to copy it from here. And in this way, we can export any spreadsheet we want, right? Go back and paste it here. So this is for test. And then we have the spreadsheet ID. And the second is going to be our token. And then we're going to pass an option or parameters. And I'm going to console log this request out. And I'm going to get the token from the script app API, get the OAuth token. I'm not sure I'm going to log the whole object for this request. I'm going to log the URL, so we can try to use this URL here. Because if we go to this function, we should return a URL. So this URL we're trying to use for getting our a PDF file. So we can test it before we can try to use it in our project, right? So let's go back to this file, and I'm going to push this to the cloud, and I'm trying to test it there. All right, so let me just reload this page, and let's test it. Okay, so we have this URL. So you will see here, I only passed this format. I'm sorry, this should be format, this should be size. Let me do it again. So we have this size is letter, and all the default setup you will see here, and the GID, the format is PDF. So if I copy this and try it in my browser, and I can have this download. And as you can see, because we applied a margin 0.25, right? So the margin is kind of a little bit narrow than usual, right? So, and the thing right now, this should be a letter size instead of A4 size, things like that. So that's just a test. So right now this is working, right? So what we can do here, we can create a function here called export as, I don't know what we are doing here. So maybe we are doing something like we export a spreadsheet as PDF and send it with email. So let's do that. Export as PDF and send it with email. I'm going to copy some of these parameters here. I think I can copy all of this from this test, and then let me get rid of this test function. So this is a request. We just already verified it, and this is going to be the spreadsheet, and we have the token, we have this request. So what we can do here, we can send a request. So I'm going to get the responses from, I'm going to use your URL fetch app API to fetch all. And in this request, we only have one single request. Okay, and for this response is going to be, because we only have one request, so the response is going to be only one response. So we can destructure this with response. Okay, and we can check this response. So why I did like this way, because if we have like for example, if we have 10 or 20 spreadsheet we are trying to export as PDF at the same time, so this solution should be better solution because we are fetching all of them in one shot, and instead of fetching them one by one, it's going to save you a lot of time. So that's why I created this function first to create a request, and then we are trying to send all of these requests just in case we have two requests, maybe request A or request B. So what we can do here, we can pass A here and a request B here, and we should have a response A and a response B. Let's try it. So what we can do, and let's get the blobs. So for the attachment, right? Let's say if response A, we can get the response code if it's equal to 200. We can do this in a loop. As you can see right now, I'm just showing you an example. We have two, right? You could have you could have more, right? If it's equal to 200, I think this should be the successful response. And what we can do here, we can constant blobs is an array, and I'm going to create a new blob. It's going to be response is a get blob, and we're going to set a name. Okay, and so this is request a.pdf, just to show you the difference. And I can copy this code, right, and just change this to B. But in a real case, you should loop them, right? You should put them in a loop, and this should be B. This should be B, and I'm going to set name B. So we have two, and I'm going to blobs. I'm going to push this blob in this blob array. No. I did some typo. Request. Okay. This should be response B. So now we have two. They're from the same file, but let me think. But they just have a different name. So what we can do here, we can send them with email. So let's just send email receipt. Let's just get my email. So I put my email here. Gmail. Or what we can do here, we can get the session user get email. Okay, just get my email. And the subject, we can create a function to do that for sure, right? But this is not very complicated. So this is a test for live coding 019. So I'll put my email, and I'm going to give the subject. The body will be the body, and we have some options. 40. This is the test message. And we have some options here for the email. So the only thing we can get here, I think, is for the attachment. So the attachment should be the blobs, or we can just rename these blobs as attachments. So let me recheck. So I think this will do everything, I think. Let me try it. Let's just put all of this code. Okay, so the code is ready to be tested. Let me reload. So this time I'm trying to run this. It should ask me to do the authorization because we are using some APIs like the Gmail API and anything else? Yes, the Gmail API and the URL fetch API for the external services. They basically send our HTTP request to get the PDF file. Okay, so now I'm not sure if it's already done, so let's just try to run this again. That quick, I'm not sure. Let me just verify it with my mailbox. Okay, that's quick, but I didn't see any attachment. That's weird. Let me check what's going on here. Request A. Let me just console log the response code. Maybe it's not 200, I don't know what's going on. So this is something we need to check. And what else? Okay, so this is not 200, so that's why it's so quick. And let me check. Headers, authorization, no typo here. So let me show you another way to debug. We can get more information about this error, so we can JSON string parse response A get context. So we'll see what's going on here. Spreadsheet ID. Let me just try to do a reload. Try it again. Okay, I think I know what the issue is. The issue is about this token. So we need to have the access to the Google Sheets. So right now we are not using any of this Google Sheets API. So in the token, I think in the token there is no access to this spreadsheet. So that's why we get this 401 error here. So to handle this issue, what I'm trying to do here So this is first time for me to, let's go to the utility function here. Let's do a spreadsheet.get active, but I'm going to put it here as a comments. We're not running this function, we're not running this line of code, but what this we're going to do, I think it's going to trigger, it's going to add this scope to our token, I think. Let me check if this is true. Okay, so this time, if I'm trying to test, okay, so this time we will add a new API here. I think this is for the spreadsheet. No, okay, so this API, and this is the scope we are adding, and after this we should be able to go, and this time is 200, right? And I'm going to get rid of the line for the test. This line of code. And 200, and we should have 2 blobs. And we should have a check here. If blobs or length is equal to 0, we're going to return console info. There is no overthrow error. We can do throw new error. There is no PDFs. There is no PDF. Export it. Just in case some error here, like this is not 200, could be some error, right? And then we don't send the email. We send the email only if we have some attachment. Export it successfully. And let me reload this page. So query run. So this time take about 2 seconds. No. Okay, so this is latest one, and we have request A. And the request B, they're basically the same thing, right? So what we can do here, so right now we here have two file. Let me just do a very quick. Maybe I do another function to send multiple spreadsheets as PDF. So IDs or spreadsheet IDs. So this is going to be the ID, and we can do this. We can get these IDs by a script to do it. So let me just do it. Const. I'm going to get the current folder, right? I'm going to try to fetch all of these files. So I'm going to get a current file. So current file should be the spreadsheet.get active, and I'm going to get ID, and just this one. And I'm going to get the current folder. So the folder should be drive app, get parent, get file by ID, get ID, and this is going to get the parent. Just in case there is no parent, you are in the root drive. There is no parents. Okay, so I'm going to get the folder. If parents, if we do have the parents, then parents next, or we can do something like parent has next. And in this case, we just return the parent next. And if not, we're going to use the root drive, get the user, get the root folder, and then we have this folder, right? And I'm going to get a list of spreadsheet. So const files or spreadsheets equal to folder, get file by type. So the type should be something like I think it's called Google Sheets. I'm not sure if this is right. And I'm going to get the IDs. So const IDs should be spreadsheet. I'm going to loop. So spreadsheet while spreadsheet has next. Return spreadsheet.next, get ID. So in this way, not return ID. I'm going to IDs. I'm going to push this ID to this array. So probably I'm going to do this with a function get spreadsheets in current folder. I'm going to return the IDs. So this is a function to get the IDs. But I don't need the current one, right? So the is not equal to the current one. So this is going to be the current one. So we return, so we get the IDs. We get a spreadsheet from current folder. To make sure this is not working, so let me just console log this out before I can move on. All right. So let's just try to run another test. So right now what I'm doing here, I'm trying to pull all the spreadsheet from this folder, right? Send multiple. So I'm trying to run this one. And because we this time we added the drive app API, so we need to do this again. A new scope was added. Right, so this time is basically the Google Drive API because we are trying to fetch the files from your Google Drive. And boom, we have these IDs. So this is what we're looking for. And so since we have these IDs, we can create a request array by using these IDs, right? We're going to map it ID. So what we can do here, we can return, or we can create parameters or query parameters here by using, and just return create PDF export request. So it takes spreadsheet ID, which is the ID, and then we're going to take the token, and the options should be something. Let's put options here. I'm not sure if the option should be the same. We don't have to pass, so maybe you want to have the letter size or some size like A4. So we can put a size here, A4. And if I'm trying to override the margin, so top margin, let's just put them all 0. Right? So we can do top right, bottom left. So we override the margin, and let me get the token. Script app.get auth token, and then put token here, options here, and this time this is the request, and I'm going to get the responses from the URL fetch API. I'm going to call all of them and send the requests. The ID, not IS. So this is going to be the responses, very similar to what we have here, response A, response B. But right now we're handling them more efficient because we could have multiple. So right now just 2. We can have 3. We could have more, right? So this is why we're handling them like this. So this is a response. And I'm going to create some attachments. I'm going to loop. So for each response, so basically this is the same code. So response, if response, get response code. If it's not equal to 200, I'm going to return. So there's nothing here. If this is not 200, maybe there is error there, right? And if this is 200, what we can do here, we can get the blob, right? Attachment, push, response, get blob, and set name. So right now the name is not there. And I want to get a name from this spreadsheet. What I mean here, if the spreadsheet here is monthly budget, I'm going to create a PDF, monthly budget.pdf. So for this one, it's going to be website page traffic report.pdf. So we need to update this function a little bit. Instead of IDs, I'm going to write spreadsheets. Or I can call it data, just for example, const file or spreadsheet. Go to spreadsheets.next ID and data.push. I'm going to push an object this time, so the ID should be the spreadsheet, get ID, and the name should be spreadsheet.getName. So this is going to be, so right now, so in this time, we are returning data filter value.id. So I just updated. Instead of returning only the ID of the spreadsheet, I also returned the name of the file because we're trying to use this name for the PDF file, right? So in this way, we should have something spreadsheets, and we can change the spreadsheets for each ID. I can destructure this ID and name here, and for this name, I think I don't need this name here, but in the requests. So how do we access this name? Because our spreadsheet is an array, right? And we can get the index here, in this responses here, and the spreadsheet. The name should be the spreadsheets. index name. This is the name, and here we set the name and give the extension for PDF. So in this way, we can reset this blob name for this PDF file. And the same way, so to save some time, I'd like to copy this function here. Okay, if blobs, and we send the email. So right now this is not blobs, attachments. So if we have any attachments here, right, there is no PDF export. An email, just my email, subject this time, sent multiple spreadsheets to PDFs. This test body, and I don't need to have this. So this options redeclared. Okay, we have two options. So in this case, let's just keep it simple. Let's just put it here. Options, not options, attachments. And let me just push them into so this is, I think this logic should be very clear to understand. So the first thing we get so this line of code here, we just get the spreadsheet, get the name and the ID from the folder, from the current folder, and then we have some default configuration for the PDF export, right? We basically remove the margins, and then we create some request to export them as PDF, and then we send the request to GET, and then after we get the response from these requests, and we create the PDF attachments here. And if we have some attachments, if there is no attachment, we throw an error. And if we do have attachment, we just send an email. So I hope this is clear. Let me just do another push. And we should be able to run a test here. So it takes about 5 seconds. Delete this one. All right, so this time we have this monthly budget and website paid traffic reports. All right. And that's basically how I handle this kind of situation, okay? How to handle this export and how I do the code every day like this. So basically you need to do some debug, and you always make some mistakes, typos or logic errors, things like this. And there may be another topic we can cover in this video, I'm not sure. I don't want to keep along to make this video too long, so maybe for you guys, what you can do here, you can merge spreadsheets in, you basically merge as PDF, things like that. So basically, let's say we have two, right? I'm going to leave this to you, so you can find a solution. So basically there, what you need to do, you basically need a list of spreadsheet, just like what we are doing here, right? And then you merge them into one spreadsheet file. So basically you copy all the tabs from all of this spreadsheet and put them into one single spreadsheet, and then you export the spreadsheet, the merged one, the merged spreadsheet as PDF, and then you can do whatever you want. So this is basically, you send it as an email, or you can try to create a PDF file on your Google Drive. So that's basically, you can do something like this. So you can create this function here, and the process is quite similar like this one, except we need to do this merge here. All right, we need to merge first, and then we don't have multiple requests. We have only one request because the spreadsheet, they are merged into one single spreadsheet, and we only need to send one request to export only one PDF file. So that's something you can do here. All right. So I will call this an end here. I think that's a lot for today's video. Thank you. Bye-bye.
But all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays.